Good morning. My name is Namjoti with Blue Cypress School of Holism and Blue Cypress Botanicals. It is March 1st and it's really quite chilly out here in the Texas Hill Country, and I realized that I haven't made a video in a while, so I thought that it could be interesting to some of you to do a post-snow garden update, especially since spring is coming and right now the garden, as usual, is in transition, but it's an interesting stage of the transition because some things are green, some things have died back, some things are sprouting, and so I'd like to do just a quick run through of some of my favorite parts of especially the backyard apothecary gardens. I was really surprised by what made it through the snow. And I've been throwing seed maybe a little bit too early. I've been putting some plants in the ground maybe a little bit too early, but I'm just really excited for the spring. And as you all know, I like to do different experiments in the garden to see what works for me and what doesn't. I don't really like to only stick to what people say works or doesn't work. And some of that stuff has proven to be true. But I've also found that I've had a lot of success with just trying something and seeing how it goes. So I'm going to try to keep this video short, and I'll throw it up on YouTube since I haven't really put a lot of stuff on YouTube recently. And if you like it, then remember to subscribe and like and all the things that you do on YouTube, click on notifications and stuff like that, especially if you want to see more videos like this as we go through the spring and summer and fall gardens, because that helps me to know what you're interested in and what you want to see more of. So any feedback or comments or things like that that you can give me really do help me with what I do next. So it's chilly and I don't like being cold, so I'm going to try to keep this video short and sweet. Thank you for being here with me, and let's go ahead and roam around the garden, see what's going on. All right, let's just start here with this circle flower bed. Here is where I have been growing a lot of calendula. I've been throwing seed down here for like a year, and a lot of the seed has germinated, but when we got that freeze and the snow, all of the above ground parts died back. I was getting flowers before that, but the calendula has died back, and I think the roots are still alive, so I feel confident that it'll be just fine. I've thrown a lot of Monarda seed, bee balm, and that hasn't sprouted yet. There's some Russian sage over here, and this here is blue cornflower, and there's more there and over there, and that hasn't bloomed yet, but I think that will probably bloom in the spring, maybe early summer. You can see more calendula, and I haven't cut it back yet because I didn't want to cause more trauma to it, but here in the next week or so I'll come and probably trim back the dead leaves. This, I think, is, here, look. Monarda fistulosa. So that's some bee balm, and that's already coming. Over here, we have some cute, furry little mullein. And last year, we got the first mullein here on our property. And I actually saw it be beyond the fence back in the forested area. And since then, I've had maybe 2 or 3 pop up here in the backyard gardens. So I'm stoked to see the mullein here because we haven't had mullein on our property in years. Here's a little patch of yarrow that I grew from seed, which I feel really smitten with because this is my first time being successful growing yarrow from seed, and I grew it inside and then transplanted it out here last week, and all of the big yarrow has been fine with the snow and the cold weather, so the little yarrow I think will be okay too. So we'll see what happens with that. We come over here to this bed. This here is the Empress Tree. And this Empress Tree started out really tiny I guess I planted it, maybe I planted it early summer. So I'm excited to see how much it grows this year when it starts to get its new leaves and it really starts to take off. I threw a bunch of seed over here in this bed as well. Nothing has come up. You can see this is an old mullein seed head, so I could scatter that out a bit. And I just will probably come out here and do some raking and kind of rake the seeds in so they have a chance to reach down to the soil. Over here, I started all of this Astafiate, which is, the botanical name is Artemisia Ludoviciana. I started all of this from seed inside, probably late summer into the fall. And then I moved it outside in the fall. And when I moved it outside, it kind of died back a little bit. And now after the cold and the snow, it's really come back green and silver and it's taking off again. So I feel hopeful for the Astafiate because I have been harvesting that elsewhere. And my intention with planting it here was to go ahead and start my own patch so that I can just do my harvesting, like for smudge bundles and herbal baths and things like that, different preparations that I make. I can just harvest from home, which is really the intention of this entire apothecary garden, just to be growing more of my own herbs and not having to go off and wild harvest as much. These olive trees I planted in the summer, and they got hit by the freeze and the snow, and so I don't know what's gonna happen with them. See, the leaves are coming off. I think they could be okay, but we'll see. I planted a ton of Fava Beans, which I just direct sowed before, probably about a week before we had the freezes and the snow. And they germinated after the snow melted. And they look really healthy. And the reason why I put them next to these stakes is because Fava Beans are supposed to get really big. I think they can grow up to like 4 feet tall. And they're really kind of heavy like tomato plants. So I put them next to our tomato stalks just in case we need to give them some support as they get bigger. But look at this one, it's really beautiful. It reminds me of little heart shapes, and the leaves are really healthy. So I planted them all over the backyard in a bunch of raised beds directly in the ground. I started some inside, which didn't do as good as the ones that I direct sowed. So I'll keep that in mind for the future, just to go ahead and direct sow my fava beans instead of trying to baby them inside, because they're pretty hardy. All of these cuties are poppies, and we brought a bunch of, I guess we've been gathering poppy seeds from all over. We gathered some here in Texas from a nearby garden store, and we also gathered some in Tennessee, out in Amish country out there when we were there in the summertime. Oh, the baby goats are crying. That Star, she's probably looking for her mama. I don't know if y'all can hear that. Here's another calendula that died back. But the poppies, we scattered those seeds through the summer, through the fall, and so many of them have germinated. So I am stoked to see what our poppy harvest is going to look like this year. Poppy seeds, poppy seed heads. Here's some purple basil that we started inside, just briefly started inside and then moved it outside. That's kind of an experiment just to see if it is going to survive any more little cold snaps that we have. I'll probably start a few more rounds of basil inside just to play it safe, to make sure that we have a good crop. These tall things are all onions. There's some other weeds in there, but I'm probably not going to come and weed out because it doesn't seem too crazy right now. I'll just let it be. But we won't know what's going on with the onions until we harvest them, but they look good. I mean, they're green, they're standing up, they look fine. This is blackberry, which I think is going to be just fine too. Some of the leaves got a little bit of damage from the cold, but otherwise it looks pretty good to me. Over here, wherever you see the stakes, is where we have more fava beans popping up. Let's come over here. In this area, all of these tiny tinies that are popping up are the alfalfa. So I think we have 3 or 4, maybe 4 of our does are pregnant, our goats, the Nigerian dwarf goats that we have here. And our goats eat a bit more alfalfa supplemented into their diet when they're pregnant and when they're producing milk. So I wanted to try and see if I can grow a lot of alfalfa so that we just don't have to go buy so much. I also threw down some cover crop, and the rabbits really love the cover crop, which is these little red balls are inoculated with, see, you can see there's like legume seeds and some, I'm not sure exactly what all is in the mix. I don't have it memorized, but it's from MBS Seed Company. So you can see it's like this kind of stuff that pops up, and this other grassy cover crop. But the rabbits really love to eat that. So because we put a floor on the bottom of their tractors, here's Wendy and her babies, I usually come out and cut fresh stuff for them. So when all of this seed germinates and starts to really grow, I'll come and start harvesting little snacks for the rabbits, which I'm happy to do because I feel like it really connects me to them, and they're always excited for fresh stuff. I don't know what all this stuff is down here. I thought for a while it was chickweed, but I don't think it is. Here's the Vitex tree, which is bare right now, but she'll be booming here in the next couple of weeks or so. All of this area is in transition. Oh, Lone Star Nursery, the St. John's wort that I got from them made it through the cold snap. It seems to be doing great, so we'll see if it's gonna flower or what happens. Here's another really pretty, healthy mullein that just presented itself in, I guess, the fall. Over here in this kind of patchy area where you can see the soil has been disturbed, I came out and planted a bunch of burdock seeds because the burdock did really well last year, and I was able to harvest the roots, which we used in broths and things like that through the fall and winter. And so I planted more burdock just to see if I can get a larger yield this year. Some of the things that did really good are the motherwort. Was just like, a lot of the herbs seemed to be really refreshed by the snow and the cold. So that was really nice to see, because I didn't cover anything because I wanted to see what would happen. So the motherwort looks beautiful. Got 3 little motherworts planted there. And the wormwood looks great. I love these the little curly edges or wavy edges of the wormwood. And then we've got more poppies, lots and lots of poppies, another little mullein there. And the chamomile was just unfazed by all of the cold, which I'm surprised. I don't know why I always think of chamomile as being only in warm places, but I mean, it looks healthy. And all of this chamomile flowered last summer, and it's just been going ever since. I harvested all of the flower heads, and I've thrown a lot of seed out here, chamomile seed specifically, just to see if we can get more chamomile growing, because it did so well. And then this bed got chamomile kind of in the back, and then yarrow up here in the front that I transplanted from the raised beds last year. So this yarrow has not flowered yet, and I think it will this spring. But you can see the yarrow looks really healthy too. It's bright and shining and standing up and happy. Here are more of the cornflowers, and this particular little set, it's like 2 plants. They were about to flower right before it snowed, and then they got covered in snow, and so they didn't flower But I feel confident that they will flower in the spring or summer because they're still standing. So that's great. Here's more poppies. So you can see, I feel like it's just gonna be like a great year for poppies, at least here. And we had like 3 or 4 individual poppy flowers last year. And so I'm just so excited to see what happens. Whenever the spring is coming, I just get so excited. And that's what, every morning I'm just like coming out here trying to see what else is sprouting. And I know the passion vine will be popping up soon. It's not here yet, but it's coming. Here's more fava beans that I planted here just next to our vertical trellis. See, the sugar snap peas didn't make it, which I was quite surprised by that, because I thought the whole thing with sugar snap peas is like they can survive, or is it snow peas? I don't know, but I thought that they would survive the snow. And maybe they'll be back, but they died back. They were really beautiful. I think I took a picture right before the snow of the peas, and they just didn't make it. There's more fava. All right, this bed over here was where all the marigolds were. So there's a bunch of marigolds planted over here. Oh, the rue, I need to cut back. But I mean, the rue has been just growing fine ever since I moved it here. All that rue there. That fig is still bare, but it'll be back. There's the Liberty Bells, the Lucid Dreams little plant. It's really pretty and purple. Let's see. So this is the future marigold bed, and I have a lot of plans for new stuff that I can't wait to share with you guys for the garden. I've been brainstorming and kind of dreaming up what I want it to look like back here for the spring and summer. Here's the wisteria, which is, we'll see what happens when the leaves come back, but it looks fine. It's got a bunch of rabbit poo all at the base. Lemongrass that hasn't come back yet, but I think that'll be fine too, because it was cut way back, and so I'm sure the roots are just fine. Here's the other little patch of alfalfa, which is still green and it's still growing and it's still here, so that's great. Then we'll just look at the elders, and then we'll call it quits for this video because it's cold and I want to go inside and get some work done. So the elders, their leaves got ruined, but I mean, the elders were green. The leaves were green all the way through until the freeze. So these trees, there's like 5 or 6 elder trees, and I think they'll be just fine. Their roots are well established. And if you look at this one, you can see there's a ton of new growth down here, and here even sprouting out. So the elders will be just fine. I don't know if they get enough sun. We only got a few elder flowers yet last year, and we haven't had any elderberries, but these are also really young trees. So we'll see if they get flowers and berries this year, but either way, I'm happy that they're here. And we'll just look at this little area, and then we'll be done for today. There's the moringa tree, which is still naked, and the fig tree, which doesn't have any leaves yet. The irises, I reckon, will be, they had a little bit of damage, the irises, but I mean, not really. I think they'll be fine. And they'll be blooming here soon. That's another one of my signs of spring. I don't know if I pointed out the cleavers. Let's see if there's any cleavers over here. If not, they're just across the yard. I can show you one of our other signs of spring here in the Texas Hill Country. But I threw a lot of seed over here, and I planted some new flowers that I'm not sure if I planted them too early. I planted a lot of celosia over here. That was the plant that got really big and beautiful last year that I was calling the Jack and the Beanstalk plant. It was celosia, which is in the amaranth family, and really big, beautiful bunches of flowers. So I planted a lot of little celosias. Here you can see they have the red stems like the amaranth, just to see if they could make it through any more cold snaps. So we'll see what happens there. Oh, there's Opal and Violet. Hey girls. Hey girls. Let me show you the cleavers real quick. We've had a lot of cleavers and henbit popping up, which, you know, if you live in Texas, if you live in Central Texas, you know that's like spring's coming. Here's the cleavers that cleave to your clothes. That's why they're called cleavers, because they're so sticky. Gallium, I think, is the genus. I don't know the species name. Here they are kind of mixed up in there with the Estaffiate. So good spring cleaning, liver tonic medicine. Oh, and here's, I think that's henbit over here. Yeah, it's not flowering yet, but good signs that spring is on the way. And so every day I kind of run outside like, is it spring yet? But all right, so we didn't go all the way through the whole garden because I'm cold and I want to go inside. Because I don't know, 50 degrees is just too cold. I'm ready for the 70s to come back. But when it's cold like this and potentially rainy, that gives me an opportunity to go sit inside and get some work done. So that's what I'm going to do. But I feel really hopeful and very inspired with the way that the garden looks right now. I'm excited to get my hands in the dirt some more and to try some new things and to share those things with you. I learned a lot last year and my wheels are turning for what to do this year, what to try, and what to share. So let me know if you have any questions. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you want to see more of. And thanks for being here with me. Namaste.